Hello everybody and welcome back to Screen Stars. Well, I'm here to give you my review, my thoughts, my feedback on the brand new PlayStation 4 exclusive Bend Studios Days Gone. Now this is a game that I have been looking forward to for quite some time, and I'm not a real big fan of zombie type games, okay? And let's not pretend this isn't anything but that. It's a zombie game, even though they're called freakers. And generally speaking, I find the genre is can be a bit boring and a bit old, and it doesn't particularly interest me because I'm not a huge fan of horror games, generally speaking. But when these games are done right, like The Last of Us, for example, for me it's something I want to play, I want to get involved in, because it's more than just a zombie game or a zombie genre type of game. And this, from the footage I saw from this, right from E3 a couple of years ago, this looked fascinating. You know, the gameplay footage that we were seeing of this game, an open world zombie type game with hordes of zombies and, you know, mission structures, you're on a bike, you know, bounties, the whole kind of thing just sounded really cool and interesting to me. And the more I saw of this game leading up to its release, the more I was interested in playing this game. However, something strange seemed to happen in the lead up to the release of this game. There was quite a lot of negativity coming out about it. A lot of people saying, "Oh, I don't think it's that good, this game," and "Oh, for a PlayStation 4 exclusive, it's not as good as God of War, is it, or Spider-Man?" And it's certainly not at the same level of Red Dead Redemption 2, even though that wasn't a PlayStation exclusive. And I'm just kind of thinking, is that the bar now? Yes, last year was an incredible year for PlayStation exclusives, particularly, i.e. God of War and Spider-Man, two incredibly fantastic games. And Red Dead Redemption 2 was on another plane when it came to gameplay and story, and just absolute fun factor in playing that game. It's an endlessly playable and enjoyable game. So for this to follow up on those three incredible games last year, it had so much to live up to. How on earth was it going to compare to those? So I thought those comparisons were a bit unfair, and I thought people were kind of jumping on the bandwagon on the negativity of this game before it was even released. And guess what? Now it has been released, and do you know what? It's a good game. It's very playable. The mechanics work really well. The graphics are impressive. It's an interesting open world, but it's not. It doesn't blow you away in a sense of some of those other games that we've spoken about. And I'll be honest, as good as God of War is, I wasn't as enamoured with that game as certainly Red Dead Redemption 2 and Spider-Man. And honestly, quite controversial, I actually prefer this game to God of War. I found God of War, I don't know, it just didn't sing to me. I'm not saying this game is better than God of War. I think God of War was an incredible achievement, but I enjoy playing this game more than God of War, I will say that. But this game isn't revolutionary. It doesn't do many things new. It doesn't create new systems. It doesn't create new mechanics. It does everything that you've seen before in other games, and in quite a lot of the time it does them better in other games. But everything works well on this game. I think you know, you've got your crafting, you've got your weapons, you've got your skill trees, all the stuff you would expect in an open world type game, and they're all fine. They all work fine. I don't have an issue with any of them. You know, you can upgrade your melee weapons. You can put nails in them, make them better, and you know, you can buy better weapons. And if you pick up a weapon off a body, if you drop that weapon, you won't get it back. You have to buy them to keep you in your inventory. All these stuff we've seen many times before in games. And it seems a lot of people are giving this game a hard time because it's not doing anything new and fresh. Well, I don't think it needs to. Everything it does reasonably effectively. It's just mechanics we've seen before in other games. I think one of the big selling points for this game was the bike, and I have to say I think riding about on the bike is really, really cool. Initially it's a bit naff, but the more you upgrade the bike, the better it performs, the cooler you can make it look. The shooting on the bike works reasonably well. A lot of people have been giving this game a bit of a hard time in regards to the shooting mechanics in the game. I think they're alright. The melee combat is very impressive, and in a lot of ways this game it takes things from other games. You know, like the melee combat that you got in Mad Max. It feels a bit like that in the melee combat here. It's very impactful and brutal, and really cool to look at, which is what they did in Mad Max. And then it takes other things from other games. It feels like a cross between The Last of Us, Red Dead Redemption 2 and Mad Max, and you kind of combine the three. And it takes aspects from each of those games and puts it into its own game, and that's the best way I can describe it, really. So the melee combat really works, I think, and I think works well. The shooting for me is okay. I personally think your best bet, certainly up close, is your shotgun. It works really well, especially a good shotgun. Quite a lot of times the aiming is not brilliant if you're using like assault rifles, but there's a good variety of weapons, and you can get them at the different camps that you go to. So yeah, it's not really impactful shooting and stuff, but it works. I've heard a lot of people complain about game breaking bugs here and there, and certainly frame rate drops and all that kind of stuff, and whereas I have experienced a few frame rate drops here and there, nothing that has spoiled my enjoyment of the game, honestly. I've not come across any real bugs in the game here, and I haven't completed the game yet, but I don't always think you need to complete a game to give someone a good indication of what the game's about and if it's worth playing and buying. But I've played enough of this game now to tell you that, you know, I genuinely haven't experienced many bugs. No graphical glitches, no bugs. I've heard people say that they haven't been able to complete some side missions because of bugs, and I've not experienced that. I think the worst bug that I experienced was I was driving through a town and I was looking for fuel, as it happened, but as I rode through this town, there was like fuel markers, literally looked like there was dozens of them all around the map showing me where the fuel was. So it was really weird on the map. And then when I got off the bike, they kind of stopped and I could just see the one fuel mark on the map. So that's the worst of the bug that I've seen in this game. I haven't seen anything else really. The story for me is the strongest element of this game. The character of Deacon St is really cool, he's really interesting, he's really bitter and angry character. He's not overly heroic, he's not overly likeable, but he's kind of realistic, and he's on a mission really to try and figure out what happened to his wife, which you see very early on in the game, in the cutscenes early in the game, that his wife is missing and presumed dead, but he ain't gonna accept that. He wants to figure out what really happened. So him and his brother-in-law Boozer spend their days doing bounties, doing jobs for camps, all that kind of stuff, and that's kind of what you get with those two characters, and they've got a really good dynamic and a really good relationship going on. And that's the mission structure really here. You've got your main story missions, and then you've got side missions that are you get at camps and things like that. So you go to these different camps, and if you do favours for these camps, you develop trust at these camps, and that enables you, the more trust you have at these camps, the more things you can buy at these camps. You can upgrade your bike, you can buy different weapons, you can put meat and things into the kitchen, which builds trust, and you can get bounties there, all that kind of stuff. So it's really good. The camps work particularly well, and I enjoyed that aspect of it. You can hand in bounties at the camps as well, so every time you kill a freaker you pick up like their ear, and you get to hand them in. The freakers themselves are really good, generally speaking. You've got different varieties, all the kind that you would expect in a game like this. You know, the ones that rush you, you've got like little kiddie ones that only attack you if your health is low, big brute type ones, and generally speaking they're easy to handle, reasonably easy to handle, until you come across a horde, and that's when this game ramps up the excitement and the tension and the fear. You've got these huge hordes chasing you at certain points in the game. Some of them you have to do through the game, and some of them you have to do, or you don't have to do it, but they're out in the world and you can come across them and deal with them if you want to. So it works particularly well, and the freakers are designed well. The graphics of the game are impressive to me. Really stand out. I think it looks really nice, and I think Ben Studios here, who did the old Siphon Filter games that I remember on the PlayStation 1 and stuff. I used to love them Siphon Filter games. I think to say they've been out of the game for a while, they've been developing this for a while, I think they've delivered a really impressive open world game. Something a little bit different to some of the open worlds, but very, very familiar too, and I don't think they should be criticised and punished for giving us things we've seen before, but they've given us new characters and a new world to explore, and new ways to do it, i.e. on a bike and things like that. So I think for me it's an impressive attempt by Ben Studios to give us an open world a little bit different. It ain't going to blow your socks off like some of the exclusives that we got last year in Red Dead Redemption 2. It ain't that type of game, but it's well made. I mean, look at the exclusives they've had on Xbox recently: Crackdown 3, Sea of Thieves, State of Decay 2. This is head and shoulders above all of them games, I would suggest. So yeah, I think again we have a great game on PlayStation to play and enjoy. I'm looking forward to continue to play this game, and if you've been put off by some of the negativity around this game, don't worry too much. Maybe wait for a sale. I bought this full price, but wait for a sale. I mean, the first time this drops into a sale, it comes at like £30 or something. Snap it up, it's worth it for that, definitely. You're going to get at least 60 hours gameplay out of this game for sure. So I hope you found this review useful, everybody, and once again I will see you next time on Screen Stars.